Hello internets. So it's time for me to make my video about the post-election situation in which Donald Trump won the presidency of the United States. So I've received a little bit of feedback about the way I approached the situation prior to Donald Trump winning. So a lot of people have been taking a massive victory lap and kind of like, yes, the salt, let the salt flow, let the people cry, let us bathe in their tears and their misery and sadness, yes. Drinking from the mug of SJW tears. And I've also received a little bit of feedback from people who were commenting on a previous video I made called Trump versus Hillary Post-Debates and Pre-Election, in which I said Trump is gonna lose very confidently because he sucks and he's useless and he can't do it, he can't run his fucking campaign, and he's no goddamn good. And that's what I said. And I'm also going to take a look at things I said before that video. I'm gonna put that stuff in context, but it is important for me to point out one thing, because this is something that a commenter said, look, you were wrong, just don't downplay that and admit you were wrong. So, yeah, I was wrong and I totally admit that. I was wrong. And I'm not gonna make an excuse about that. I'm just going to say, yes, I wasn't right. What I was saying at the time, I believed it was still wrong, but that was my assessment of the situation. Sometimes you make an assessment of a situation and it's incorrect. Sometimes it's about something very important, like the presidential election. And that's a bummer. But I'm going to at least talk about things that I've said in the past and my general impressions and feelings about what happened and moving forward, and also who's to blame, because I think that does kind of matter. And also why I may have misread it without excuse mongering, but being like, yes, I was wrong and I think this is why. I'm not on suicide watch and I won't be crying over the course of this video. Hopefully. So on the 25th of May, 2016, which is about 6 months ago, I made a video called Let's Talk Bernie Bros. Hillary won the nomination on the 28th of July, so about a month later. And I'm just going to play some of the relevant points from that video and discuss why at the time that was my point of view. One commenter said on this, "You were so right on this, Tim, eerily prophetic," which I appreciate, but I also know that over time I became more wrong, and I'm also going to talk about that. But I think 6 months ago, I think I had a pretty good read on the situation. Fucking Hillary Clinton supporters are really annoying. No offense to you Hillary Clinton supporters. I do not say that to you because I'm a misogynistic, white cis, bad, heteronormative guy. It's just, this Bernie Bros smear is really irritating. I had the goal to say I didn't really trust Hillary Clinton, which I don't. Why should I trust Hillary Clinton considering she only supported gay marriage a few years ago, and she changes her positions often, and she supported like terrible bills like the crime bill in the 90s, and she referred to black people as super predators, and she wants to get involved more in overseas entanglements. You hate Bernie supporters. You have antagonism towards them, and you just hate Bernie. Fine, but don't call me fucking names based on that. Whenever you ask Hillary Clinton supporters what's so great about Hillary, they're like, she's really qualified. Okay, fine. She is... I'm actually struggling. She's better on guns. I literally am struggling. Well, I just don't like Hillary. You sexist scumbag, Bernie bro! If you have such disdain and disgust for Bernie and his followers, don't expect their support. Why the fuck should they support you? You might just have to live with 4 to 8 years of Trump. And then the next fucking cycle, you're gonna come back begging for their votes again, and they're gonna be like, fuck you. And then you're gonna be like, you don't have the best interests of the country at heart, how dare you! Fall in line! We have to stop the Republicans. We don't have to think about our policies being as progressive and good as they can be. We just have to stop the Republicans. That's the only thing that matters. Well, at a certain point, it doesn't matter that much because you're just Republican light. No one is excited by you or interested in what you have to say because you are disdainful. There's no fucking reason why Bernie people should support Hillary based on her antagonism. It should be based on her trying to appeal to them. So essentially my feeling from that time had been Hillary and her supporters were basically making divisions and driving wedges between camps of people on the Democratic side. Their approach to the Bernie situation was to basically say, if you don't support Hillary and you're a white male and you're very strident about your views, then you're probably a Bernie bro, and that just got thrown around. That guy's a Bernie bro, that's a Bernie bro. And I myself got called a Bernie bro, and a lot of people felt that that was extremely unfair, because much of the time what we did was just criticize Hillary Clinton for being an establishment candidate who was very middling, who didn't seem to have any strong beliefs or ideals. I think she just had a very wish-washy, generic liberal agenda. It wasn't particularly progressive, but it was going to maintain a bunch of things that already existed. It wasn't exciting. No one was really jazzed up about that. So then, when they fought as hard as they possibly could for Bernie Sanders, the Hillary camp turned around and said, now it's time to fall in line. Now it's time to support us. Even though we've basically said the only reason you didn't like our candidate was because you're sexist, and we're not actually going to provide you with any kind of vision or ideal that you really want to get behind and fight for. You just have to fall in line because it's Hillary's turn to be the president, and you just have to accept that. And at the time I thought, this is a horrible strategy, and it's terrible, because I think no matter what you say about Donald Trump, he didn't attack his own voters, and he didn't attack the voters. Who he attacked was Hillary, over and over again, and he was quite smart to actually say, crooked Hillary, she's a crook, she's a criminal, crooked Hillary, she's an insider, she's establishment, she's out of touch. Playing that message over and over again was a very good strategy by Donald Trump. I can't remember him saying or his campaign putting out any materials that was basically calling her voters stupid, because he wanted them. He wanted them to come support him so he could be president. Now, his actual message was one of nativism, racism, sexism, bigotry, xenophobia, hatred, horrific economic policies that are broken and won't work, promises that he's not going to keep, such as building the wall, which is not going to happen, and basically completely bamboozling, fooling, fucking over all of his own people. But they didn't know that. That's the thing. They had no idea. They didn't know, and they still don't know that he's a total charlatan. And they don't realize how extremely horrible his agenda's going to be. Unless they are one of those quote-unquote deplorables, then they're probably like, this is great that America's turning into some kind of hellhole divided on race, essentially. Where I think there's going to be tiers in society, where minorities and poor people are just completely shoved away, but an appeal to their nativism is going to make them feel like they are not being fucked over. So, I mean, the whole thing's a disaster. But we're talking about the campaign. On the campaign, Hillary's message was basically, support me, or you're a bad person. And everyone was like, what? That's all you got? Anything else? Oh, and some generic liberalism. And everyone was like, oh, okay. And you're Bernie bro. Yeah, alright. And on the Trump side, at least all of them heard, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're whatever. And they were like, okay, I think I'll stick with the guy who says that I'm awesome, rather than... Because it's like, it's just a popularity contest. You just have to fucking jerk off the fucking voters, and they're easy to fool. Trump did a very good job of fooling them. They're easy to do. So it's incredible that Hillary sucked so hard at campaigning and appealing to people, she couldn't fool people enough to vote for her. And now we have this, like, used car salesman / potential child rapist, but I said potential, I don't know for sure, as the president. And I blame Hillary, and I blame her horrific, horrible campaign and her terrible strategy of alienating much of her own voters and appealing to a sense of being an insider, like, stronger together and I'm with her. Those basically translate to be part of my club, and if you're not part of my club, I'm just gonna belittle you. No fucking vision, no insight, and now the DNC insiders in the Democratic Party are making the same fucking mistakes. They're putting forth, like, Tim Kaine. He's awesome because he's called Tim, which is the world's best name, but he's just milquetoast. I don't know what he stands for. Like, no one knows who he is. He's not going to excite anyone. He's going to fail miserably. Don't do it. It's an iceberg. Don't put Tim Kaine in there. And Cory Booker. Somebody said to me Cory Booker could win because he's so slick. I disagree, because he will be fighting against an incumbent president, and no matter how much Trump's fucked up, he will have an advantage being the incumbent. And Cory Booker is part of that whole Democratic establishment. People don't want it, they don't like it. I mean, but the only real way would be they were so fatigued by Donald Trump at that point, they were like, no more, we can't take it, we'll just take Cory Booker. But that kind of thinking has failed this time around. When Hillary said, oh, Trump is so bad that people will just support me because Trump is so bad. They can't keep doing the same strategy, like, Trump is such a bad president, they'll just support Cory Booker, this shitty, moderate, centrist, whatever guy, who's charismatic on a personal level besides that. Fuck the guy. I mean, they're not going to support him based on that either. People don't want these insider Democrats running things. They don't want them. Some people have pointed to Elizabeth Warren. I think she would be a good idea, but she is becoming, since supporting Hillary Clinton, more and more third way and moderate, and that could be a danger. I saw some people saying on Twitter, what they want to do is go more left, and they'll just go off the cliff, and that will be the end of them. If they go more progressive, it will all be over. Ha 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 ha. To that I say, fucking bullshit. Where are they supposed to go? They can't go more establishment. They've already gone as establishment as they could, and it completely miserably failed them in every possible way. And Obama got into office by pretending to be not establishment. That's how he got in. And Trump got into power by being anti-establishment. And Bernie potentially would have beaten Trump, but we'll never really know, from being anti-establishment. They have to get it through their thick skulls. These are not the people that should be in control. They don't know what they're doing. They're miserable failures. They fucking suck. Keeping Donna Brazile, putting forth Tim Kaine, putting forth Cory Booker. These are recipes for 8 years of Trump, and I'm gonna just mark that now. If any of those people stick around, Trump gets 8 years. It's a guarantee. That they could stand a chance with Elizabeth Warren. Unless she loses her passion and becomes way more centrist, then I think her chances will go down significantly. And they can no longer run campaigns on just, I'm better than that guy or that girl, and if you support them, you're horrible, and if you support me, you're great, and I'm also going to include a whole bunch of people on my side as being horrible, you fucking Bernie bro, something pejorative. That's not going to work anymore. They have to stop that. But Tim, I hear you saying, you insulted the right heaps, and you called lots of people, particularly the alt-right, white supremacist, racist, literal Nazi scumbags. To that I would say, yeah, because I'm a random dude on YouTube giving my opinion. And if you go look at my videos, you could see the only reasons I came up with the vote for Hillary was the fact that she was going to continue a lot of Obama's policies that have actually worked quite well, but it's not like an exciting story to hear about the economy is improving and how trade is doing quite well and the relations around the world have become more normalized. That's not interesting. No one cares about that. And it's not sexy. And I just said, like, look, that is much preferable to the dumpster fire that Trump is going to usher in, because he's just already filled his team with Washington insiders and Wall Street people. And the ideas for his cabinet, they've got like Sarah Palin, Newt Gingrich, David Clark, Jose Rodriguez, a whole bunch of extremely corrupt political insiders that are basically just going to run rampant on the American economy and fuck over everybody who voted for Trump, even if they don't know they're being fucked over. Like useful idiots. So Hillary Clinton was preferable to all of that shit that's coming. But I could think of no, like, passionate reason to support her. And the fact is, Trump did activate a lot of those white supremacists and racists and anti-Semites. And an anti-Semitic vote is still a vote. If an anti-Semite votes for Trump, a person on the other side doesn't vote for Hillary because they're not excited by her because she didn't appeal to them with a good message, that's still a 1 in the anti-Semitic column. And you see, I can go on YouTube and say things as I see it, but she was running a fucking political campaign. And it was her job, and it was the Democratic establishment's job, to find a way to appeal to people so they actually want to vote. And now I think they shouldn't do it on the Democratic side, or, well, even, on the Republican side too, by appealing to all these fucking racist scum. But they did on the Republican side, and it worked because the racist scum voted. If I was running a campaign, I probably couldn't now because I've already called them racist scum. I couldn't go out there and call them a basket of deplorables. I would have to provide some kind of populist message that would bring them over while trying to do it somehow without it all being just racist nativism like Donald Trump did, and try to skim some of them off the surface. And people will say, hey, those guys will never go over to the Democratic side based on that, but Some will, and you have to have an aspirational message because it's the only way to actually get support. Without that aspirational message, you've got absolutely nothing. So some people have been saying, oh, the Democratic establishment should build up the voting infrastructure so that people, voting is really available and they really want to vote, and that'll be great. And while that is important because that's part of the message, that's not the takeaway from the election. The takeaway of the election is you have to have a vision. You gotta have something people want to vote for. People going on about all this like SJW shit and voting stuff and like all of these side issues. These are all complete side issues. The absolute number one thing is you have to have a vision people want to get behind. That's it. That's number one. If the next Democratic nominee is like John Kerry or something, I mean, fucked. Just give up. Like, there's no fucking point. Hi, I'm Tim Kaine. I'm gonna run for president. I'd just be like, no. Just skip the election this year. There's no point. Trump's gonna win again. There's no fucking point. You need someone who can actually jazz people up. So I said all that back then, but then 2 weeks prior to the election, I made another video called Trump versus Hillary, post-debates and pre-election, in which I had a much different view, and which I'm going to talk about now. By watching this debate and seeing some of the reaction by Trump fans to it, I've come to the conclusion that fans of Trump are living in a fantasy land. He looks like a clown. He looks like a bozo. He looks like a joke. When the world and when many people in America see Donald Trump saying, wrong, this guy is just a muppet. He's not even like, it's impossible to take him fucking seriously. They're not in touch with what is actually going on in this election. They were not thinking about the wider picture, which is how does this actually move him forward as a presidential candidate. And I would argue that many of the things that he said are kind of like red meat to people who are like, yeah, Trump. But that generally no one gives a shit, and it's not going to move the needle on anything. And that's the problem. He sucks as a presidential candidate. You've got to get out of your fantasy world. You've got to get out of this delusion that it's all about this nuanced thing about him fighting the power and him being against the established power structure. It's about immigration and it's about all of these different policies that he says he's going to... No, it's that he sucks. It's that he's a joke. Stop trying to justify the fact that he's incompetent. The reason things are going bad for Trump, even though you can't admit it, is that he sucks at running for president. He's not an appealing candidate. He's a piece of shit. And he's a liar. And he's probably not going to do all of the good shit that you think he's going to do anyways. And when you sit around defending Trump and talking about how he's going to fight the power structure, even though it's full of insiders, he's just going to cut taxes, and there's very little indication that his protectionism ideas will even work, you look like a moron. You just want to see things with rose-tinted glasses because it makes you feel like Trump might win, and then you'll feel better about your life, and then you can complain about everything being rigged. And why weren't they talking about Hillary laughing at the gays? Good luck with that, because you are losing not only this election, but your alignment with reality. So I'm not going to make any excuses about the fact that I was wrong that Trump won the election, but there is a little bit of context and there are a few thoughts I have on the things that I said in this video. I do think it's worth pointing out that I made this video on the 24th of October 2016, which was over 2 weeks before the election. As you can see by the polling data, at this point she was 5.5 points ahead of Trump, and there was all kinds of stories all around the media about how his campaign was flaming around. Trump himself said, yeah, we're far behind. Many people thought that he just flubbed the debates and he didn't do a good job. Much of what I said can be salvaged in terms of where it was at the time that I made the video, and all the stuff that I said about Trump being a clown and a muppet who looks like a joke to the rest of the world, even though they were always like, shut up, foreigners, no one else is allowed to talk about things. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I'm a foreigner, I apologize. That stuff's all still totally true. He's still a joke, and he's still going to totally shaft all of the people who supported him. Ben Carson is going to be in there. So, I mean, this is just like the hell that you guys have sort of thrust upon yourselves, but enjoy that. But yes, at this specific point in the campaign, things were looking bad and Trump people were making excuses. And my reading of it at the time, after seeing those debates, was Trump is a dumpster fire and he's just so bad, he's just never going to win. That's how I felt at the time that I made that video. And I probably would make the same video now, because that's how stuff looked at the time, based on all of the evidence that I could see before me. Hillary's lead completely evaporated over the course of those 2 weeks. And you can see here on November 3rd that there was only a 1.3 spread. And I could have made another video where I was like, okay, that video I made last week, I'm not too sure about it now because things are not looking good. But I didn't get around to it. That makes me look less credible because they've only got the video that I made 2 weeks before the election to go off, and I was wrong on that one. But if I'd made a video a few days prior to the election, I probably would have said, I still think she's going to win, but it doesn't look very good now. It doesn't look very close. And also, WikiLeaks and the emails had been slowly dripping out over the course of those 2 weeks. And there's the FBI thing with Anthony Weiner and all of that. But I think the key thing was what we had known all along, which is that she doesn't have a strong message, she's not very appealing to people, she didn't really have things to offer, she didn't have a vision. That slow drip of saying she's corrupt, that would have been completely, in my view, undone if she had had some kind of vision of some kind. Because then people would say, well, she's got the problem with the emails, she's got the problem with that, but whatever, she's such a great candidate and she's got such a good platform, and I really believe her. But she didn't have that credibility, she didn't have that believability. So all she had was, Trump is bad, and Trump's terrible. And on the left side, everyone could already see that, and then sane people could already see, like, yeah, look at him, he's a fucking goblin, he's a disaster. We could already see that. But what they didn't have was, this is why you should vote for Hillary, in the positive. They only had, in the negative against Trump, you should vote for Hillary. It's plain to see that Trump sucks and is fucking terrible. But some people like that. A lot of people love the fact that he's fucking god-awful. So you gotta give them an alternative. This is the reason that you should vote for Hillary. You can't just keep saying Trump's awful because, well, you've got nothing to offer me, you keep judging me all the time, and yeah, I'm gonna go with the guy who's gonna build a wall because I'm a fucking stupid American. Fuck you, America. Sorry. Got a bit overly lib there. I mean, fuck some of America, alright? Some of you guys. You're idiots. Okay, when I watched that video back, a lot of what I say is still true, it's just my prediction about the election was off. I got sucked into that too, spending too much time bashing Trump, and not enough time noticing that Hillary Clinton and the Democratic establishment are garbage and don't have any useful ideas. A lot of them haven't learnt anything. They just haven't fucking learnt a thing. They're putting forward more establishment candidates that people have no fucking interest in. I think people are just sick of the Democratic Party. They just want it to burn down, and I don't blame them. Well, what they got to do is they got to build the voting infrastructure, and they've got to work on canvassing and organizing. And it's all about the message. They have to develop a progressive message that's populist, that appeals to people. That's the only fucking way they're going to come back from the abyss. They're hubristic, they're foolish, they never listen to the people, they never cared. And everyone just sees in this election what they want to see in it. Obviously, I mean, some people are seeing in it just, we showed those feminists and those SJWs and those whoever. I see in it, well, the Democratic establishment fucked itself and fucked the whole fucking world. Thanks a whole fucking lot, you losers. And I just think, Hillary, you're a fucking failure. Just get out. Get the fuck out. Go away. And it should be the last time that the media, people in that establishment, fucking laugh at the left and progressives, but they'll keep doing it because they don't care.
All I want to say is that anybody from the Democratic side of the fence who thinks that, who's terrified of the possibility of President Trump, better vote, better get active, better get involved, because this man has got some momentum, and we better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket.
Next, I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on to Matthew Dowd.
Sorry to laugh.
Next week,
George, we had Jesse Ventura in Minnesota win the governorship. Nobody thought he was going to win. I'm telling you, stranger things have happened.
Well, and also, George,
what they care about is dividing people and giving them no fucking options or anything to vote for. Just this fucking same corporate Wall Street bullshit. And I totally underestimated how shit people see Hillary Clinton as. That was my main downfall, was I had assumed people could use their mind to be like, okay, practically speaking, it's unacceptable to vote Trump, so I just have to get in Hillary because it's just, that's all I can do. No, she was so unappealing and such a bad candidate. This really was just an insider thing, an establishment thing. My previous video didn't fully reflect that fact, that's what happened. But I will also say, the whole thing was totally counterproductive, because we can already see Trump going back on heaps of his promises. And he's just going to renege on everything. And it's just going to be corporate giveaways, it's just going to be unprecedented amounts of corruption. It's going to be like absolutely nothing Hillary could have pulled off. So when I see people gloating online about let's celebrate the salt and let's celebrate the tears and stuff, it seems to me they're kind of celebrating a self-inflicted wound on America and much of the world. This meme in particular I really liked, because it's like America stabbing itself and then being, but why? Why am I stabbing myself? The only thing missing from that is America gloating about stabbing itself. I'll show you. Ha ha, I'm bleeding now. Ha ha ha. Yeah, you're sad. Good fucking job. Trump just saw a void and filled it with hate. And Hillary saw the void and she filled it with just nothing, just like some fluff. And now we're in the situation we're in today, but I guess at least I'll get to talk to a lot of the people now in 2 or 3 years who were so gung-ho about Trump, and unless they've intimated sucking up to their partisan choice and just sucking up to the system, they will realize, hopefully at some point, that they've made a huge mistake. And when that day comes, come join us on the progressive side and actually fight for people instead of massive corporations. Just a thought. Anyways, world, enjoy this misery.